What's up, people? So before I get into this part 2 and probably the last part of this type of video that I'm doing about what I'd like to see improved, or what can be what can save or help the WWE, excuse me, game series as a whole, especially what the fuck, especially since the debacle that was 2K, that is 2K20. Anyway, but before I get into that, I hope you all had a good Christmas, and since it is New Year's Eve, Happy New Year. So, anyway, let's get into this now. So, if you want to check out part 1 and what I had to say, even though it wasn't a whole lot for part 1, feel free to if you want to. Anyway, let's get into this. So, I would like to see the wrestlers show more emotion as they sell, as well as they're getting hit with a move, or having a submission applied to them, or anything of that sort. I want to see them wincing in pain, the emotion, the expressions change in their face, show them getting looking tired, and just if a body part is been worked on, have them grab onto it, have them limp around the ring. Maybe if you reverse, say, a power bomb, you reverse the wrestler reverses a power bomb, they kind of punch him in the head and plop off, and then they land on their feet. Possibly as they're landing on their feet, whichever leg that was being injured, they kind of like the knee buckles or something like that. Something that you would usually see normally when you watch wrestling for the most part. So that's something I would like to see, is them to improve on the selling of just remembering that a body part is being injured. So on top of that, with the selling, when when they're applying a move or they're doing something, I want to see the muscles flex. I think they had that in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 or 2011. I know they had it in only one of them. I think it was 2010, and they removed it for whatever reason, probably because they had more complex stuff going on the next game, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I want to see that. And also very similar to the esports UFC games is when you'll see the muscles and everything start moving properly, due to if they're doing a submission. So they're really putting squeeze on an MMA, guillotine choke or a triangle choke or something like that, arm bar. You'll be able to see that in a similar thing in MMA, or specifically UFC. You'll see the other person struggling to get out, so you're seeing as their their muscles and their body and everything is I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of weird. I'm not entirely sure how to explain it, but hopefully you kind of understand what I'm saying. You'll see them not only in the game as you're struggling to apply this, have them tap out. You'll be able to see them within the animation of them trying to escape. You'll see it in their expression, not only within their face but also within their body. That's something I want to see within the next game or going beyond. Considering that we're 2020 in the holiday, we're getting new hardware. So PS5, Xbox Series X, I think that's what it's called. So we're having all that. So why not apply that with the better hardware, better technology? I feel like you might as well take advantage of that. Considering another thing is the freedom to just go to other areas backstage. Think of the older games like the SmackDown vs. Raw games, the SmackDown 1 and 2, the other SmackDown games like Here Comes the Pain, Just Bring It, all that, Shut Your Mouth, so on and so forth. The different backstage areas that you're in. And on top of that, they weren't worried so much about oh, well, they never fought here, they never fought there, or whatever. They just had it there because they kept in mind it was a game. So I like that. You want to have it as authentic as possible and all that. I don't want it to be a WWE All Stars type of game, but I don't mind if they were to add additional backstage areas like in old games and have all the wacky crazy stuff. Like you can have like a car explode, you can get run over by a car. You can also climb on top of a friggin' what was that, a helicopter, and jump down. You can climb up on the friggin' in the other games, I forget which one it was, I think it was a couple of them, where you're climbing up on the fist on the SmackDown arena. There's like, so much freedom you had in those other games, not only within backstage areas, but also within the regular arenas themselves. So I really would like them to really incorporate that into the games going forward. Something that I think that would really go a long way to add more depth to the gameplay, because you don't want it to be stale. You don't, if they want to say like, oh, we added this stuff to the gameplay, maybe instead of change the controls to a terrible button layout, you can actually revert the controls back to how it was before, which was fine, and then just add additional ways you can play the game. That's just something I would like to see, personally speaking. And again, it can lead to a lot of crazy, wacky moments if you want, and just something more to do, in my opinion. I would like to see basically those type of backstage or freedom as far as like roaming around in the ring, outside the ring, to return to the next game. The last thing I probably would say is the marketing and the way that the games are being promoted. They seem too simplistic and rather generic, and I feel like 2K is handling the marketing and the way they're going about these games too close to the other sports games they have. And keep in mind that you can say, well, wrestling's not real, it's not a real sport, it's predetermined, blah blah blah, it's fake or whatever. All that aside, keep in mind that wrestling is so different from baseball, basketball, even MMA, kickboxing, boxing, anything like that. It's different. It's the way it's presented, the way everything is. Not only it looks different, it feels different. Just everything about it is just a completely different experience. What if you like it or not? That's basically what it is. And I think that look at how the other games, better yet, the older games, whether if you can even go back to SmackDown vs. Raw, the regular SmackDown games, the Day of Reckoning, the WrestleMania games, No Mercy, this game, that game, WWF Attitude, Warzone, and so on and so forth. The way those were presented had that like grit, that really like in your face, smash mouth, like it didn't seem so simplistic. Like you wouldn't see the advertisement they had for like 2K20 where like in like this little like party bullshit thing, and someone just comes down from the ceiling and whatever and just puts a freaking pastry in a freaking glass or some shit. It would really just have someone be like Stone Cold, I think, what was it, Warzone or something like that, or like, oh, you ain't good, you can pick whoever you want, but they're gonna, get an ass whooping like everyone else or whatever, just that or whatever. And they're showing like clips of what's going on within the games, and it really shows you what those games have, and that it has that like in your face like grittiness to it, and it's not so simplistic and stiff and really just generic. That's the issue. It just seems so plain and basic, and not a lot of heart and soul being put into that. And that's what I would like to see for the next games going forward, is just more heart and soul a little bit, if they can. One quick thing before I go. One quick thing. The name of the game needs to change. I think WWE2K21, 22, whatever. It's too generic. It just needs to change it. I miss the days of interesting wrestling names. Like, even if it can still be 2K, they can call it, have a little subtitle at the end or something. I don't know. Like, it wasn't just SmackDown. They had SmackDown, SmackDown 2, SmackDown with the Pain, Just Bring It, Shut Your Mouth, blah blah blah. So something along those lines of like those games. Better yet, on top of that, the box art needs to change. We don't need just one person or two people on the cover having a generic pose and then it's having a red background. I miss the days when you had a really creative and unique box art. That's what I miss. The marketing, the way, just all that goes is something I missed, and I think they really need to fix that. So that's pretty much what I would like to see in these the games going forward. I believe that's the last part for this little thing that I'm doing. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know what you like to see personally. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the most part. Again, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more of these, feel free to let me know. Any suggestions, feedback, all that good stuff is appreciated, and I'll take it all into consideration to heart. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Blah blah blah. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you for the support. Thank you for 2019, and hope to see you in 2020 and beyond. So, with all that said, take care, and I'll see you next time in the next one.